going.
Just wake up. Wake up. Just wake up. Wake up.
Initiate the Light Chaser.
All right, everybody, welcome into Press Pass Live. Maniac, I can't hear you. I couldn't answer you, though, because right as you asked me if I could hear you, I was already firing up. I got my guy, Maniac. I am the host of Press Pass Live. I forgot what we're even doing here, commissioner of the OMFL words. They're escaping me because I'm trying to do 400 things here, but we're going to get them. Thank you for taking time to tune in here tonight as we're going to talk OMFL playoffs. I cannot wait to do that. As always, I guess not as of late, but here tonight, I got my guy Maniac, the commissioner of the Deuce College Dynasty here in Grove, folks, and your owner of the Buffalo Bills. Mr. Maniac, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing good, man. I'm on remote tonight, so I don't know if I sound different or whatever, or if it sounds good or you hear the sound of the road in the background, but we are on the road coming home from having the kids over the weekend for just some family time together. So
that's awesome. No, you sound great. What's up, Daniel? Thank you for tuning in tonight, brother. I always enjoy seeing your hey messages, and then you lurk for the rest of the time, but I appreciate you. No, you're sounding good. I'm glad you got some time with the family. I, too, have been on the go. Recently, I was in Provincetown. That's why we didn't have Press Pass Live last week, but we are here tonight. This is all about the playoffs, knowing that tonight could get hairy. Like, these playoff shows go a long time, so we'll see how Maniac and I can make that happen here tonight. I'm going to be using my guy who just popped in the chat, Mr. Beal, going to be using his information that he posts in the chat, so we're going to be using that to look at here tonight. Should be a lot for us to unpack. Mr. Randy, what's up? Nice to see you guys. Thank you for tuning in to Press Pass Live. There are no Press Pass Live mailbag questions, but you still have time as we're kind of unpacking a couple of playoff games here tonight. All right, let's start over here. Let's go NFC. We always start in the AFC, but tonight I want to look in the NFC, which looks completely different this year than it does in years past. Number 1 seed, you got the Seattle Seahawks at 14-2. The number 2 seed, the Dallas Cowboys, they're sitting at 14-2 as well. So a little bit of a battle as we roll into week number 18. Your old team, the Atlanta Falcons, are 11-5, the number 3 seed. The Bears and Mr. Colin at 10-6 as the number 4 seed. Your number 1 wild card are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-7. Number 2 is the New York Giants at 9-7. The Panthers are at 8-8. They have the number 3 wild card still alive though. The Packers at 8-8. The 49ers at 7-9. Boy, things have gotten haywire with the brand new baby this season. The Cardinals at 7-9 still out there, and the Vikings at 7-9. Currently in the CFM, this is how it's breaking down. You see it right here on the screen. The matchups would be wild card 2-7 Cowboys and Panthers. That would be a great one. I think we've seen that matchup just a couple of seasons ago, if it wasn't just last season, the last one of Madden 24. Then you got the 3 seed Falcons hosting the 6 seed Buccaneers. Anytime you have to play somebody 3 times in a row, it is pretty tough. What's up, Benny? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And then the last wild card game would be the number 4 seed Chicago Bears against the number 5 seed New York Giants. Bill going to play his old team. Actually, I guess both those guys flip-flopping teams. They're going to be playing their old teams if this is how it plays out. And then the Seattle Seahawks are waiting for whatever team comes left. So still currently we got the Packers, 49ers, Cardinals, Vikings still fighting it out. Giants and everyone up. Looks like they pretty much have that thing sewed up unless some things sort of went haywire there with the Buccaneers and Giants. The top 4 are pretty much set. Maybe some seedings that are still left to fight. I'm kind of scanning that. No, the seedings are set top 4. So Seahawks, Cowboys, Falcons, Bears, those are set. Pretty sure those are done. Buccaneers, Giants, Panthers have the top 3 wild cards currently. Packers, 49ers, Cardinals, Vikings still fighting for it. How do you see this one playing out? Any of those teams you think still in the spot, or do you think what we see is what we get?
From what I'm looking right here, we've seen the Packers really, it's kind of like fall off the face of the OMFL earth here the last few weeks. And he looked like he was going to be in the mix of things. So, it just depends on like if he can maybe win this last game and sneak in as maybe the final wild card spot. But I really think if you look at everything as a whole and what we saw over the last few weeks, I think this is going to be what we get in the playoffs, and this is going to be a pretty good matchup of teams here going to the playoffs for the OMFL on the NFC side.
I'm going to see if I can pull it up really fast to let everybody know the schedule. So the teams that are left, you got Carolina and Atlanta still going at it. Be interesting to see if Big Hurt starts to sit some players. Minnesota has to play Detroit. We've seen Detroit either beat the 49ers or play a really close game. I forget exactly off the top of my head because I just glanced this afternoon, but they were in a really great game. So they're going to make Minnesota fight for it. The other teams were Tampa Bay. They got to play my Saints, whose my season is long over. I just can't figure this game out. And then the other team was Chicago, Green Bay. So that's going to be a tough one for Green Bay. They're going to need to win that one on the road, even though Chicago's got things sewed up. So for me, it's like Seattle, Cowboys, Falcons, Bears. Do they start sitting people to try to avoid some injuries? Or are they going to sort of leave the door open? And then finally, the Cardinals, well, they got to play the 49ers. So both of those teams are going to be fighting to the bitter end because the 49ers and Cardinals still have an opportunity to get in there. So just for sake of like who is left to play here, I too think the 49ers and Cardinals are going to be completely out of it. I think the interesting games will be what happens in the Green Bay Packer game against the Dallas Cowboys. Do I have that right? Where's it at? Why is it not popping out on my screen in front of my face here? Oh, there they are. They're playing the Chicago Bears. Yeah. Like, so does Collins sit some players and leave the door open for them? The Carolina Panthers, they're going to have a really tough game. Just there's some interesting games as we kind of close things out here. And I think the interesting part will be who sits players to avoid injury and who rolls with it. I'm going to go ahead like you, and I'm just going to say what we see is what we get for just the sake of my own brains. And after looking at those games, I'm not quite sure who's got the easier game because we just don't know who's going to play starters to sort of like, is Colin like, there's no way I want to play the Packers again a third time, so I'm going to go ahead and play starters and get this game over with and be ready for the New York Giants and the Bills when it comes to the playoff time? Or is it like, no, like Falcons, Bears, Cowboys, they're all like, no, I'm just going to sit players. So then that opens the door for Carolina to get an easy win. That opens the door. Tampa Bay basically has a shoe-in win. So just a lot of interesting ways to unpack this. Let's me and you just dive into it. Let's start at the tippy top. Dallas versus the Carolina Panthers, a matchup that we've seen pretty recently here. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I think this game would be a really good game. I think we saw, like you said, this matchup already. I think you saw the Panthers like really kind of like take a step forward, really, with their team in the second half of the season. Started putting together a pretty good run to get in this position to be in this last wild card spot, and I think where he's really, I guess, mastered the game so far as the running attack with his rookie running back Brooks. He's just been tearing it up, and I think it's a really good matchup with the Cowboys because the Cowboys are kind of very similar and like to run the ball. We all know Dwayne's style. And he's just going to smash it down your throat and make you like it. And but those Cowboys, I think in this matchup, I think it would be a close game, probably closer than maybe some. We've seen a lot of close games. Seems like over these final few weeks, there's a lot of close games happening, and so I think that continues on in this game as well. I see the Cowboys getting like a 21-17 victory over the Panthers.
What's up, Nephi? It is a lot harder on the podcast for me to respond to chat. I mainly kind of have moments at the end that I respond to chat, but things are going well. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm with you. I think that this is, if this game were last Madden, where we seen Carolina go on some deep runs and even win a bowl game in the deuce, I would say, hey, Carolina has been red hot here towards the end. Dallas has just been strong from the get-go. I mean, this is what Dwayne does. He's like all of the top players here. They just evolve and adapt quickly to whatever Madden has thrown at him, and he understands how to win. I think you're looking at a dominant victory here, but you have to tip your cap to the Carolina Panthers and what Bird has done. He was given a team that is just not built to win, and yet some way, somehow, he has scraped and clawed his way to making himself a playoff team this year, and that is something that he should be very, very proud of as a really good team, and I think he's going to build that team through the draft and a couple of really smart free agent moves and even trades that I know he's done before in the past, and look for him to be a competitor again next year. I just don't think he's going to have the firepower this season. Let's look at the 3-6 matchup, the Atlanta Falcons and Mr. Big Hurt and Mr. Kevin and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kevin, with all of that offensive firepower, continues that streak here moving into Madden 25. The defense has been something that's kind of been a holdup for him. On the other side, it's been the Atlanta Falcons defense that they are just a juggernaut. They understand how to make you earn every inch of grass that you are going to play against the Atlanta Falcons, but yet has a lot of weapons. He can run with the quarterback. He's got a lefty that brings on some new challenges, great tight end, a strong, big, physical wide receiver, also some speedy wide receivers, really shines on defense. This is a matchup of two strengths. Which one can do the better? I like the Atlanta Falcons just because they're at home. Home team, home playoff vibes, going to get the calls, going to get the energy, going to have the momentum going their way. Tampa Bay started out so strong this season, has kind of struggled here towards the back end. A team that's going to make Atlanta have to put up some points. Give me like a 24-17 victory for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, so if we're going by Bill's thing here, it shows the Giants are like the number 2, so that would be the Falcons and the Giants.
Well, there you go. I'm calling it on the screen, but you go Giants, Falcons. How do you see that one playing out?
I really think this is going to be one of those games like we saw from Bill
wait,
and his
pause,
team.
pause. I would never pause you. But Bill just typed in chat, I'm wrong. So maybe it is the way that he said, I have tiebreaker over Bucks. Sorry. So his posting is wrong, and me will get on him whenever he reposts that. So maybe just edit your post, Bill. So I think it is going to be Atlanta. If things played out, right, if nothing changes, it would be Atlanta versus Tampa Bay.
Okay. Well, I want to go with that because I too, being on the road, I don't want to get myself more confused than I already get because I can really get myself off into a rabbit trail on these things.
It's interesting when we get to the championship games. We're trying to wait, who did I say was going to win those games?
But the Falcons versus the Bucks, that would be really, I think it's going to be, you're going to see these guys match up for the third time in the same season. So we saw how those things kind of play out in the past where, if you've got a team that's won both games in the season, it's really hard for that winning team from the season to get that third win. And we know what the Bucks are capable of doing. He can put up, even in this Madden, he seems like he's kind of got that niche going where that rookie quarterback where he traded from the Patriots, he has put up some tremendous numbers, and his wide receivers, that's where it all starts for the Bucks, the wide receivers that he has that are capable of stretching the field at any point in any play in the game. And I think if you look at the Falcons, that's probably like one of their weak points is their defensive backfield, or at least their cornerbacks. Their safeties are all-world safeties and X factors and superstars, but I think when you get those one-on-one matchups with those wide receivers, I think that's where you're gonna see the Bucks have the advantage here, and I'm gonna call the Bucks to actually get the victory over the Falcons. I think it'll be a close game. It'll be kind of like similar to what we see with the Cowboys and the Panthers, but I think this game's going to be like a little bit more scoring, and you're probably going to look at like the 27-30 range for the Bucks. And I think the Falcons will be somewhere around 21, 20, 23, 24 points or something like that. So,
and set up another matchup that I think we've seen before in the past, maybe not in the playoffs, but definitely in the regular season. Mr. Colin, Mr. Bill swapping teams over here. So Bill and his New York Giants are going to go on the road to face Colin and his Chicago Bears, another team that I think both of these that you should give a tip to the cap, just like we have with the Carolina Panthers. Both of these guys need to rebuild these teams and get them going, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out. How do you see this one on the road, Giants, Bears, happening against Bill and Colin?
This one's going to be really intriguing. For one, both these guys are Giant fans, and so they're going to be matched up against each other. And I think looking at how the season has played out, Colin has kind of had a couple of bad games kind of here at the end. The Giants, I think, have also had a bad game. So I think it kind of plays into that, maybe that just the suspense building up to this game, because I think both guys are great owners and they both do things great that they do great with their teams. The Bears stretch the field, throw it all over the field, make you pay, put up points, play solid defense, maybe not great defense, but solid defense, and play it down to the wire and try to beat you out with outscore you. On the other end, it's totally opposite. It's like try to just play very conservative for the most part, keep it close, play defense, and then just try to sneak out with a victory. And I think in what could be like a winter game, I don't know how Madden is with the process of snow games, windy games, whatever. I know this is going to be in Chicago, but I think when you look at those possibilities, And again, this is all just a probable. I think that plays into the Giants' hands here because I think they're just really stout on defense. They don't give up many points, and when they do slip and they do lose a game, it's not by many points. I think just kind of from my feeling is I think the Giants are going to be able to pull out a really close victory. Again, I think the Giants are going to be able to play defense and kind of stifle that offensive play of the Bears. So look, I mean, this may be like one of the lowest scoring games of playoff OMFL playoff history. It may be like a 12-10 type of game, and so that's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah, I view it exactly how you do, except for I think perception is funny. What's up, Zoe? Thank you for the message and hanging out with us. You might be right in the NFL. You wouldn't be right here in the OMFL, which the Detroit Lions are not going to be making the playoffs. But I think both of these guys play very similar styles of football. They play really good defense. I would say Bill's a bit more of a defensive player. Both are great GMs. I think Colin's maybe a bit more of a better team builder. I think Colin has a bit more of a consistent offense than Bill does, but both can hit you with a big play. I feel, though, that kind of idea of this being a low scoring, possibly lowest ever scoring game in OMFL playoff history. It wouldn't surprise me if we seen like a 9-7 game or a 9-6 game, a 7-3 game, something crazy like that, especially if we have really bad weather in this game. I think that would be a ton of fun. I don't know who to go with. I think this is a full coin flip game. Just take a coin, flip it in the air, whatever you call, that's who you think's going to win. I can see this going either way. I'll go ahead and stick with the home team, and I think the home teams are going to sweep this one. So I got Bears, Falcons, Cowboys. You have Cowboys, Bucks. See, I can't even keep up with mine, so.
Yeah. Okay, so that would be Cowboys, Bucks, because Bucks would be the lower seeded team left on my side.
No, but who's your three winners? Cowboys, Bucks, and
Cowboys, Bucks, and Giants.
Giants. I've got Cowboys, Falcons, Bears. So my matchups would be Cowboys and Bears. Nope, I'm sorry. It would be Cowboys, Falcons for my matchups. Bears, Seahawks. You would have Seahawks. Boy, my mind is getting warped. You'd have Seahawks, Bucks in your first matchup. I'd have Seahawks, Bears in my matchup. You would have Cowboys, Giants in your matchup. I would have Cowboys, Falcons in my matchup. Oh, gosh, I'm going to get all twisted and turned. So I'm going to have Seahawks versus the Chicago Bears. I like the Seahawks in that one. Don't be surprised if you got an upset. I like the home teams, at least in the NFC playoff run here. Seahawks have been dominant. I think all of his arch nemesis have been off of the tables, right? Mr. D-Money isn't even going to make the playoffs this year unless some crazy miracle happens. If he does, watch out. I like the Seahawks to win this one, get in his first, or maybe not his first, but one of his first NFC championship games in this one. I think it would be a tight one, be a close game. I could see Colin getting some turnovers, keeping this one in the low 20s. I think that would be an interesting game. I just don't know if Colin has enough firepower, though, against that vaunted Seattle Seahawks offense. You got Seahawks, so I got Seattle winning that one. You got Seahawks and New York Giants. Who do you see winning that matchup?
Okay.
No, you have Bucks winning, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bucks,
so you got
Bucks.
Seahawks, Bucks. My bad.
Yeah, so I think this would be in a very intriguing game. I think where you're looking at some of the teams that matches up really well versus the Bucks wide receivers. You got to look at the Seahawks with their defensive backs. He has some of the top defensive backs in the entire league, and I think barring any injury, I think that would be looking at this matchup. I think that would be the difference maker. I think you're going to see Meek Boy actually be able to advance this round. So I see the Seahawks winning this game. and I think it's going to be probably one of the more higher scoring games we'll see in the playoffs. I think you're going to see the Seahawks get like 34 to like a 34-31 victory over the Bucks, but I think the Bucks will still put up points, but I think those DBs are going to create some turnovers that's going to possibly keep them from advancing in this game.
I dig it. That would be really interesting to go from what we both think could be the lowest scoring playoff game with Bears and Giants to possibly the highest scoring playoff game. That could be really interesting. In my second matchup, I'm trying not to get twisted here, but I got Dallas and Atlanta, Dwayne versus Big Hurt. I think very similar to the other game, the Falcons have played outstanding this season. I mean, he's got that team at 11-5. It's just the Dallas Cowboys have been better at 14-2. Both like to establish the run. Both like to play outstanding defense. I just tend to see overall Big Hurt put the ball in harm's way a bit more often than you see Dwayne putting the ball in harm's way. Dwayne is going to be the home team in this one, and I, again, just really like the home team. Turnovers are going to be key. I say that with the caveat of in the playoffs, though, we've seen Dwayne get out of his norm from the regular season and turn the ball over in some inopportune times that have cost him games, whether it was Detroit several seasons ago, the 49ers. Like, we've seen him have a couple of turnovers, and if we've seen Big Hurt do anything, it's force guys into some really bad picks. If Dallas avoids that as normal in the regular season, I think he runs away with this one like a 28-32 type game to 21 or 24. I see Big Hurt making a run in the fourth quarter to kind of tighten it up, but Dallas kind of putting it away with a big run there towards the end. Your matchup, on the other hand, would be the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that would be the matchup that I'm looking at. So, of course, I went with giving a couple of the underdog wild card teams in this round to advance. So the Cowboys versus the Giants, again, that's another team that's going to be facing off against each other a third time. And the Giants have kind of been a thorn in Dwayne's side in the past. I know Bill's running that team, and I'm not sure if Bill was able to get any victories against the Cowboys in the regular season, but I do know that it seemed like there was a couple games that were really close, or close up until like the very end, where the Cowboys then kind of maybe pulled away. But I think this game, again, if you beat somebody in the regular season twice, you're going to play them a third time. If you get out of your game, like you said, like Dwayne has had some issues the last couple of seasons or in the previous Madden, and so that could be a factor. But I think the Cowboys will win this game. I do think it's going to be kind of a Dwayne and Bill type of game, where it's going to be kind of that close game. Both teams are kind of grinding it out, playing defense. But I really think the Cowboys defense with Micah Parsons and what Dwayne's done with him so far in this season, I think will be the deciding factor. And Dwayne's got some good DBs back there as well, so they do clamp down that offense wide receivers pretty well. So just give me the Cowboys to advance here. I guess the Giants looking like maybe a 21-13 type game. I think that would be kind of on par with those guys.
If you're looking to clamp it down and grind it out with somebody, hit up MeBot. If you haven't read these MeBot conversations that take place in our chat, they're pretty hilarious. And I gotta give it to the AI MeBot. It's pretty darn funny. So in my NFC Championship game, I've got 1 versus 2. Seattle Seahawks hosting the Dallas Cowboys, and there's a large portion of me. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. There's a large portion of me that says this is the year the Seattle finally gets over the hump. He finally gets the monkey off his back. He finally slays the dragon, or what other little saying you want to put in there, and makes his way to his first OMFL championship game. But then I remember he's playing Dwayne and the Dallas Cowboys. This is where I wish I had a bit more time to pull up stats and have stats all kind of ready to go. We do our very best here. Monday nights are pretty busy, and I'm hoping that as the holidays approach, things will not be as busy for me, and I'll have more time to do more homework. I am wanting to also say Dwayne is a past champion, multi-time past champion. He is due for one. He has been in these championship games to the bitter end in some of them, kind of threw one away, in a crazy game against our I don't know why I'm skipping his name, our Detroit Lions. Trey Cheese, thank you for saving me there. Trey, we've seen Dwayne get there, and he doesn't have his arch nemesis. These two teams that just can't seem to beat the 49ers whenever it counts. I'm going to just go with my gut and say I want to see the good story here. I'm going to stick with the home team. I think this is a super close game, another coin flip game. I think it could go either way. I like the Seattle Seahawks quarterback a bit more. Both of these defenses are outstanding. Both of these guys run the ball really well. Both of them have really good offensive linemen. Give me Seattle just for the sake of the story to get to his first OMFL Bowl. How do you see this one playing out? Or who's your game, and how do you see it playing out?
So I come to the same game as you did, but a little different route. So it's good. And then for me, it's the Seahawks and the Cowboys as well. So I do see this game being a really good game because both these guys are tremendous owners, and they build their teams, and they play within their team strengths really well. And but I think, and like you said, like you kind of set it up really good for me with talking about Dwayne. His arch nemesis is D-Money. He's not going to be in these playoffs, and I think Dwayne is like every other Cowboys fan right now. They're ticked off because the team stinks right now, and we've already seen him after the Saints kicked the Cowboys. He said he was coming after you next or whatever, and he apologized for the game next because I think you guys were playing right after that game. So I think he's going to have something to prove as being a Cowboy fan and then also an OMFL owner, and I think he's going to come out ready and firing on all cylinders coming into this game. So I think Meek Boy is a great owner, and he's got one of the best import quarterbacks you could have, I think, coming into this league with. But just I think the Cowboys, I think they're going to be the team of destiny going in from the NFC side, and I think he's just going to be too much for those Seahawks. And I think it's going to be one of those games, kind of like what we saw with Dwayne and Trey, a lot of scoring. And I think it's going to be like a 34, 30, 31 type of game, I think. But I think the Cowboys are going to advance on and represent the NFC in the OMFL Bowl.
That's going to bring us over here to, let me fix this real quick, to the AFC. So I took off our cameras just so that you can actually see the AFC, at least on the main stream, the vertical stream. You are just fine over there. Here's how Bill has it. He's got the number one seed, I think, pretty much all wrapped up. I mean, I think technically you don't have it fully wrapped up, but on paper you've got it wrapped up at 13-3. The Browns at 12-4, and that is Mr. Denbrew. The Jaguars and Fleury at 12-4 is the 3 seed. Broncos and Jay Glaze at 11-5. Nipples and his Ravens as the number one wild card at 11-5. Massimo and the Dolphins at 10-6. The Raiders at 10-6 as the last seed, still alive. Mr. Little Koch and the Bengals at 9-7. And Kobe Cheese and the Titans at 9-6 or 9-7. I'm sorry. On paper here in the CFM, you got Bills the number one seed, Browns, the number 2 seed. Raiders, the number 7 seed. Jags, the number 3 seed. Massimo and the Dolphins, the number 6 seed. Broncos, number 4 seed. Ravens, the number 5 seed. And you can hear it in my voice and probably see it on my face. I am dead tired. I'm yawning over here. I'm trying to keep the brain engaged. I'm trying my best here, but it's been a very long day. I'm going with what you see on paper. I know the Bengals are still live at 9-7, Titans at 9-7. I just don't see that happening. Let's look at those two teams really quick. We'll just tell you who is playing those games, and then we're going to bring in Mr. Maniac here to tell us who he thinks is going to win some of these games. So you got Vegas versus the Chargers in that game. That's going to be pretty interesting to see that one. We talked about Bengals and Titans. Bengals are playing the Steelers, and the Titans are playing Houston. So those three have fairly winnable games, though you can't let down anything on your laurels or you're going to get punched in the face. The Dolphins are playing. It's hard to do this really quickly. Why do I know? Oh, Dolphins have already played, so they've already beat the Jets, and so they're already pretty much sewed in. So I think really the Raiders are the only other team that they could possibly take off. I don't see any other opportunities. So there's maybe a spot there for those last games. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with what we see here on paper. So what's on your screen is what I'm going to go with. Do you see anybody, Bengals or Titans, getting the Raiders' last open spot?
The Raiders do have to watch out because Pepper does seem to like to play spoiler. He can have like one of the worst seasons and then come in and smash you in the mouth like at no what's the word I'm looking for? No advance notice or whatever, because he can just come in and dominate you with his team. And I think he actually even won the previous week, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just one of those things where like Pepper can be having the worst season and all of a sudden he'll play like he's a champion against you and show up. So, but I think for the sake of keeping my sanity, I'm going to go with what's on the screen. So, but I do think there is a spot there if the Raiders do fall to the Chargers, the Bengals or the Titans could sneak up into that final spot. I don't know if the Raiders hold tiebreakers against those two teams, then that would probably pretty much eliminate that chance. But I still think that there's a possibility. So the Raiders have got to finish out strong to get in.
I think technically your Bills spot in the number 1 seed is still up for grabs with the Browns and Jaguars. Technically, the Browns and Jaguars spots are still up for grabs against the Broncos. But those top 4 are done. They have, I guess the Browns technically have not won their division just yet in the AFC North, so that one is still up with the Ravens. So there technically could be some flip-flopping. I'm always interested. Again, we said about the NFC. Everyone approaches these last games very, very differently. Who sits, who starts, who's like, I'm fine with my seed, who says, no, I want a better seed. It's just interesting to see who wants to keep momentum going, and they're like, I don't want to cause myself sort of the momentum headache of like playing a bunch of backups and kind of getting out of my rhythm. That's really, really important. So who plays starters, tries to get out to a big lead and then sit a bunch of people? Who has the key injury? We always see a key injury or two as we go into the playoffs. I know I had that happen last season of last Madden where 2 or 3 key injuries took place. And it's like, yeah, even if I make it in a wild card, like I don't have a team to even try to compete. So we're both going to keep it as what you see on the screen, but some very interesting games as we play week number 18. So in that, I've got Browns and Raiders at 2-7. The Browns are going to be hosting the Raiders. The Browns, another team, a lot like the Panthers and other teams that you just got to tip the cap, started out on the struggle bus, figured things out, worked himself to the number 2 seed at 12-4. This is why Denver is one of the best out there. I really like what the Raiders have done. I think he's got firepower. Playing him just last week in a game that I just couldn't compete because I can't pass the ball. Defensively, I was able to keep him under wraps. I think you're going to see Denbrew do that. I also played a really close game to Denbrew where I threw a pick really late, so I could see that game both coming down to which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes. We know in Cleveland, probably going to have some snow, some wind. It's going to be an ugly game. In that type of game, I like Denbrew and the home team. I guess I'm just on a home team picking role here. I like the Browns to win that one. How do you see this game playing out?
I'm going to go probably the same boat here because I do think the bad weather team in this situation could possibly play a big dividend in this game. And it may not be bad weather, but it seems like Madden always, like in these like later playoff games, there's always that game that pops up is like the hurricane or the force winds or the blizzard or so it's kind of like those things that they seem to kind of program in to show up. So but I think the Browns, they're kind of like a lot of the top tier teams. They smash mouth football, but he will stretch the field with his wide receivers. He's got a couple of I think imports that have been a pretty big key factor in those his offense and stuff. I think he's got an import quarterback as well. So, but I think Browns versus Raiders. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Denbrew versus the Raiders there. I kind of went blank and forgot his name.
I can't remember it either.
J Bowles. Yeah.
We all need naps.
Yeah, it's been a long day. So, but yeah, I think really though the Raiders, he has a legitimate chance to win this game. I think he's got a great import quarterback. Also, a lot of these guys you got some great quarterbacks in place, and some of these are the import quarterbacks. So, I think if he gets on top and ahead, I think that gives him the best chance. But I just see the Browns, they play again like that kind of conservative type gameplay, and then they'll strike. But once they ever start getting the floodgates to flow, it just kind of flows their way. And so give me the Browns. I think it's going to be probably a little bit higher scoring game. I don't think these guys play as good a defense as we've seen some of these guys in the NFC, not giving the AFC any flack or anything. Denver, I'm an AFC brother now, so but I think this game's probably going to be like in the 34, 31 to 28 kind of score range, I think. But give me the Browns.
How many times on this drive home has your wife rolled her eyes at you?
Probably about 16.
Yeah, mine always rolls her eyes, and she's like, it's a video game, right? I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's important, so hush. The second game of the wild card weekend would be the Jags hosting the Dolphins, Fleury hosting Massimo. And if you and I would have said this at the beginning of season 111, we both would have been like, there's no way, no how. But the Jaguars have really figured some things out all the way to a 12-4 season. Major kudos to Fleury. I'm happy for him. I know he had a really tough Madden 24 up to the point he was ready to walk away. We've all been there. We've all felt it. That's me every single week for the last two Maddens. But he figured it out. He has those Jaguars playing really, really, really good football. And then the Dolphins, we've seen him go on runs before, but man, he started out really slow this Madden, and boy, he's got there. He's got this team playing really good football. That quarterback, I think, I don't know how he finds these quarterbacks. I almost drafted the guy that he has now, Joe Duke, I think, or something Duke, but the guy is just unbelievable. He just drafts absolute franchise superstar after franchise superstar. Somehow Nate finds the absolute bums. I'm still mad at Maniac secretly for making me take my import quarterback who's just under 40% completion percentage for the entire year. Just a waste of an import player. But this is going to be a good game. Offense versus defense. This might be the first game that I could easily pick the away team. I could see that happening. I think Massimo brings a lot of experience. Fleury's going to learn a lot about himself and his team in this playoff game. But I'm going to do what I did in the NFC, and I'm picking with my heart here. I'm picking Fleury. I'm picking the good story. Give me the fun story in the Jaguars and what Fleury has been able to do. What's up, Bird? Good to see you. I like the Jaguars winning this one. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I think really this game could go either way. Like you said, like the Jaguars, the best thing that happened to him was being able to move from the Rams to the Jaguars. I think as coming into this Madden. I think it gave him kind of new life, lease on life. He wasn't going to have to face D-Money. He wouldn't have to face Meat Boy and, twice a season. And he got the Jaguars, which are probably one of the better, younger, buildable teams. And Matt, and it's one of those teams like for the last 2 Maddens. It's like, kind of like a lot of people, once they come open, it's like, you get a lot of interest because there's a lot of young pieces, a lot of speed, a lot of potential in that team. So what he's done with that team is really phenomenal. You look at some of the teams that we probably would have thought but when the season started, Bronco man was like, he's going to be here. And now we're looking at Fleury with a 12-4 record in this position, and so he's put together a great season. He's played great. He's played, I think he's been pretty much in every game. So, I mean, he's really played phenomenal football throughout the whole entire season. So, but looking at that, I think this game comes down to how his defense can perform against those speed guys of the Dolphins, man.
Yeah.
And I've faced them twice, and they are he's always looking for that deep shot, and so if he thinks he's got it, if you're in a cover one or anything like that, and you're impressed, you better just be prepared. It's coming because it's on its way. And so I think though, you look at the Jags, he's got Lattimore over there now. He's played really well. I don't think he's played it quite as great as of late, but again, those type of players tend to show up late in the season in the playoffs, and so I think that's going to be kind of a big factor. I think look for the Jaguars to get the victory over the Dolphins. I think this game is probably going to be one of the more entertaining games, I think, to say the least. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring, and then I think there's going to be some defensive plays, big plays made. And I think the Jaguars are going to be able to come out on top and look for maybe like a 38 to 31 victory. I think it's really going to be. I think you're going to see a lot of scoring though.
Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time, so I was trying to say something funny to Bird. That leaves the last game of the Broncos, the number 4 seed, the nipple-driven Ravens, and the number 5 seed. Nipple quietly has figured it out this season. I don't know how. I didn't even pay attention, and then I look up and I'm like, wow, Ravens are playing really good football. But you got to give it to Mr. Glaze and those Broncos, man. He's got that team clicking, a team that, again, on paper, a lot like the Panthers, a lot like some of these other teams, the Bears, the Giants, right, just didn't have all the pieces, and yet he has led this team to a 12-win season so far. 11-win season, 11-5, but with a very winnable game here at the end. So could be a 12-win season. He's facing a double-digit win team in the 10-win currently Ravens. We know what Nipples can do when he gets in the playoffs. It's been a couple Madden since we've seen him go on one of those epic nipple runs and get all the way to the end and maybe win one, but this could be one of those seasons. There's always a team that goes on a run that you're like, wow, I mean, I knew that he could do it, but like he did it, and I didn't expect him to do that. I'm going with it. I'm finally picking my first road team here. Give me Nipple and the Ravens to go on an epic run. I want to see a nipple-driven Ravens team versus those Buffalo Bills and your team. I think that would just be a classic AFC battle there to get to the ball game. Give me the Ravens to win this one. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, we're kind of going along the same trench on this one so far. So the Ravens with his defensive line, I think Metabuke, I think how you say the defensive tackle. Man, I'm not even looking at the name, and I actually probably said it better
You
than I've
did
ever
it
had.
pretty darn good. I'm impressed.
And then he's got an import defensive tackle. I can't remember his name, but I just do know that I think he's the sack leader so far on the season. I think he's got like 12 and a half sacks. The last I'd looked from his import D lineman. So those two guys in the middle of the defense, and then the type of linebackers that he has absolutely creates havoc along the front. And I think I know for a fact because I faced off against him. We already played once this season, and it was a struggle in that game because that defense is just everywhere, all over the field, and that deep front is in the backfield almost as fast as you can hike the ball. So I think that's going to be the big deciding factor. I think the Broncos are going to keep it close, but I think in the end, I think his defense and the type of style of offense that he has, I think the Ravens are going to be able to get the victory. I think it's going to be probably give me like a 24-27 to like 21-24 type game. I think it's going to be one of those kind of down the wire. I know we've seen the Broncos put up a lot of points, but again, anytime you face that type of defense with that type of pressure from the defensive tackles from the front seven, it's tough. It makes tough sledding, and so give me the Ravens to advance. So.
All right, you're going to have to help me with your matchups, but mine would be the Buffalo Bills at the number 1 seed versus the number 5 seed and the nipple-driven Baltimore Ravens. And then my second game would be the, I almost said Chicago, Cleveland Browns versus the number, I think is 3 seed Jacksonville Jaguars. Those would be some really, really good games. I like Buffalo versus the Ravens. I said that just would be a classic matchup. It'd be a ton of fun to watch you two play each other. I mean, look, you are one of the best teams this Madden, 13-3, the best record. I mean, I don't know what your plan is here for week number 18. I kind of stopped paying attention at week number 17 because week 18 is such a crapshoot. You finished, in my opinion, the regular season with the best record. You've got that team rocking and rolling. You've got weapons. You play great defense. That's just the way that you build teams. You put pressure on every single level, and then on defense, you make teams just earn it. I like that matchup against a guy in nipple that likes to play cornerback. He likes to put pressure on you. He likes to play some sort of exotic defenses. And then on offense, man, he's got a quarterback that can just take off. Both of you will. Both of you will have quarterbacks that can really hurt you with their legs. Both of them can hurt you with their arm. Both of them have speedster playmakers. Both got great tight ends. Both have good offensive lines. This just would be a really fun matchup. I take your Buffalo Bills to win. You've been the best regular season team, and I don't see anyone being able to stop you to getting to an AFC championship game. What's your matchup in that number 1 seed against your Buffalo Bills, and who wins it?
Yeah, this is going to be a good matchup. I mean, definitely for sure, because Nips just again, like I said, that defensive line does so much on their own that it kind of frees up some things with him to be able to work on the defensive side of the ball, where he can kind of, like you said, throw out some of those exotic looks and stuff, and really make you have to go through the process of trying to read the defense very, very quickly while you're under duress. So I do think I think both of our teams are kind of similar because I do have a good defensive line. They're not probably quite as stout as Nips, but I do have a good defensive line. I think my edge rushers, I think I have a little bit of an advantage there. I do have my import guy who has been phenomenal so far on the season. I think he's like 3rd in the league in sacks coming into this final week. And then I got Milano, which is really just a ball hawking safety playing linebacker pretty much in a lot of ways. So I think that's going to be my key for my guy. Now I've got a pretty good defensive backfield. In fact, my rookie safety just got an X Factor, or not X Factor, a superstar dev development in practice. So he just jumped up. Like, yeah, that's the first one I had this season. So it comes at a good time coming into the playoffs. He's really played. Bishop has really played phenomenal all season long. He's going to be a key factor for my team for a long time. But I think this game is going to be probably down to the wire. I think our last game that we played in the season was down the wire. I think I had and maybe in fact it was a overtime game that I won with a walk-off field goal or touchdown run or something. It was something crazy like that. So, and I think it's going to be another one of those type of games. Weather could be a factor, obviously, in Buffalo. Snow is probably about an 80% chance of snow. It's kind of poke fun at weatherman. So, I'm like the type of person I hate to say I feel like I got to get a chance to win. Either one of us would be deserving a win. I do think I get the slim victory of kind of the same situation where it's a 21 to 20, 24 to 21 type of win for the Buffalo Bills to advance. But man, it's going to be hard fought and down to the wire. If it's not, it'll surprise me. It'll shock me completely. But it's going to be a good game nonetheless.
I got the Browns hosting the Jaguars in that last divisional round. I think this one are two teams that play pretty similar football, at least this season. I think both of them play really outstanding defense. They'll force you into some really tough throws. They kind of take away one side of the field, force you to play football the way they like to play football. Both have good quarterbacks that can hit you deep, hit you medium, hit you shallow. Both of them have really good tight ends. Both have playmakers in the running game. I just see these teams being very similar, which then makes me turn to what are the intangibles? And the two intangibles are the Browns are going to be at home, and the second is there's a lot of experience. You have a multi-time OMFL Bowl representative in Denbrew, and you got Fleury having an outstanding season, but his first one in quite some time after rejoining the OMFL. And I think that experience shows, especially as you get deeper into the playoff. You get some of these really tight games. You start going into the fourth quarter with a tie game. You have a big turnover. That's when that experience really starts to kick in. Give me the Cleveland Browns to win this one. It sets up for me a Denbrew and Cleveland Browns matchup against you and your Buffalo Bills. That is, I mean, you can't draw a better AFC championship game in the snow, in the wind. Like, it just would be really awesome. That's the matchup I see happening. What's your other AFC divisional round and who wins it?
If I'm not mistaken, I think we got the same matchup.
Okay.
So
I can't keep up.
Yeah. And if I said differently, I'll have to go back and look at it and say, well, I apologize because I just lied to myself. But I'm pretty sure I got the Browns and also versus the Jags as well. I think this game is going to be really intriguing. I think the Jaguars and Fleury have really, I think, really played phenomenal all season long, and I think he's really going to look back on this season and be really proud of it. But I too look at the Browns with Denbrew. He's the guy that's been there. He's got the experience. And his team is no slouch either. It's not like he's playing with a really bad team, being a good owner. He's a great owner with a very solid team, and he's got pieces in place, guys in place that really play well with his style. And I think that's just going to be the deciding factor. I'm not taking any away from Fleury. He's played great. I think it's going to be a really close game. I know we've called a lot of these games being close, and that's what you kind of hope for being in the league, you hate to see the blowouts, and I do know they happen sometimes. But I'm looking forward to this game being one of those games. You're going to be watching it down to the wire. Who's going to be able to win? Who's going to not make the mistake, or who's going to make the mistake that could cost them the game? And I think that's going to be that type of game. And I think the Browns, you're going to look at back on this, is going to be one of the more entertaining games, I think, from the playoffs. Looking forward to be like a 21-17 type of game. And the Browns are going to be advancing to face the Bills.
So, I mean, you got the same AFC championship game for me to go face the Seattle Seahawks. I already forgot who you got for the NFC. I am yawning. I am tired. Like, it just really hit me as we hit go here. I was like, I'm ready to go. It's exciting. It's playoff talk. I got my guy Maniac back, and boy, it hit me. I am dead tired here. I got the Buffalo Bills versus the Cleveland Browns, same as you. Again, just like classic old school football, both teams running fullbacks for 2 yards on 3rd and 1. You're just like those classic snow games, it comes down to field goals. And I could see something like that happening here where both teams are playing exceptional defense. Comes down to field goals, who can kind of manage the win the best, and then all of a sudden into the third quarter, they start both clicking. You start getting some turnovers, you start getting some touchdowns, you start getting some big plays. I'm going, if I did it in the NFC, I'm going with the AFC. I'm going with the perfect movie ending here. I'm going with the story that I want to see play out. Give me the Buffalo Bills to win a tight one here, like 36-32 late in the fourth quarter, getting a big turnover to stop the Browns as they were driving to win the game. Defense wins it. Allen shines. The running game has a really good game. You and your Buffalo Bills make it to the OMFL Bowl 111 to face Mr. Meek Boy and the Seattle Seahawks. How do you see this game playing out for yourself? And tell me why you're going to pick Denver.
Yeah. No, it's one of those games. I think you look at like how we both play and how we both have attacked the season and our track record. I think you look at that. It's going to be a great game. Like I said, any game can kind of get away from you. I mean, I think I've had a couple of those games. I think he's had a couple of those games where it just seems like everything snowballs, and it's just like Madden's against me, and I have no chance. But those always seem to happen every once in a while. But I think this game is really going to be, again, one of those really entertaining games to watch. Everybody's going to be kind of tuning in to watch. Hey, and now I can stream, so there's not going to be any downtime, for my Buffalo Bills, so they get a little bit of TV time. So, but I don't want to pick myself, but I'm picking myself.
Good for you.
I am going to say this. Yeah, and Denver's probably like, yeah, whatever, buddy. And I hope that's what he says. So, but I'm going with myself. I really have played a good season, and again, if I don't get the win, I'm not going to be disappointed because I think I played really well this season and stuff. But I'm going to give the Bills the nod here to make it to the OMFL Bowl, and it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be quite as high scoring as you're calling for. I think it's going to be like a 23-20 type game, 23-21 type game, and it's going to be one on the foot of my field goal kicker pretty much as time expires. So I think it's going to be kind of the game that I'm looking to hopefully to play, and hopefully that's what we get. And I got the Cowboys, so that puts a matchup between Cowboys versus Bills. So that would be kind of fun.
Yep, I agree. I've got the Seattle Seahawks versus your Buffalo Bills. Two storyboard endings to a season. Both teams trying to get their first piece of hardware, right? You don't have a piece of hardware, do you?
No, I don't have one.
Both of you trying to get your first piece of hardware, both of you earning it and building off of what you did in Madden 24. I just think this would be a classic game, and I think it's another coin flip game. There's been a handful of coin flip games. I could see this playing out in my vision of this OMFL Bowl where both of these teams play it tight, and then one team makes a turnover, the other team scores off of it. That one team then begins to push and begins to turn the ball over more, and the game sort of unravels. We've seen that before in the past. Hasn't happened too often, but we've definitely seen it before in the past. I think there was a 49ers, I can't remember who he played, but was it Little Koch, I think, maybe in the Browns? And
I think it's right.
Yeah, it just unraveled from the Browns. They started chasing it, and then the 49ers just made him pay time and time again. I'm hoping, though, that this will just be a classic close game. We've seen you win championships in the OMFL College. We've seen you win championships in the Deuce. We've seen you win championships in other places. Just hasn't quite come together for you here, and I think the AFC is setting up for you to have that confidence to step into this game. For me, with Meek, it feels like, this is even though he wouldn't say this, and I don't think he even would believe this. I don't even know if I believe it. It's probably just the late night oxygen levels are causing me to say it, but I feel like he just finds it to be a victory to get the monkey off of his back and make it to an OMFL championship. And not that he doesn't want to win one, to just sort of prove that he deserves to be up there with the very best of them. But I feel like it means a bit more to you, and you've been here a bit longer, and I know how important winning is to both of you. And so I think this would be a classic game. Both of you would fight back and forth to the very bitter end. Man, I really don't know who to pick here because I like both teams. I think both teams are very similar. Go ahead and just give me the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to pick you. I'm going to pick the co-host, pick my buddy here to win his first OMFL championship. Give me a close, tight game. Give me like a 27-23 victory, 27-24 victory with a last-second walk-off field goal, something like that. I like how that one's going to play out. Give me your matchup of Dallas Cowboys versus Mr. Maniac, and how's that one play out?
Well, this one's going to be kind of like a rerun of back in the '90s of the Cowboys and Bills. I think though this game is going to be like one of those games where both our defenses I think are going to be playing lights out. The other one's going to struggle to get a lot of offensive stuff going against each other. I really see that being a low scoring type of game that could be like one of those the lowest scoring OMFL bowl games that we've not seen in a long time. So I do think though that I haven't faced Dwayne in a while, and he's kind of had my number over the past few Maddens. It's kind of the same thing with D Money. I kind of got the D Money monkey off my back this season. I don't know if he kind of gave up a little bit in the end or not. I kind of asked him, I think I questioned, like, did you give up? Because, it's like, this is the first time I ever won against you, so I just want to make sure it's legit type of thing. So, but I think, like, with how our teams match up, we kind of have similar players, especially on defense, where I have the edge rush X factor. He has edge rush X factor player. He's got a good middle linebacker. I got a good middle linebacker. Good cornerback. Good cornerbacks there as well. And I think it just kind of matches up really well. I think on defense, I do think where he has the edge on me though is as wide receiver. I think his wide receivers are a little bit better than mine. A lot of mine are young and still kind of proving themselves, and sometimes they're kind of the best and not so much best of both worlds for me at times. So I do think this is where the Cinderella story of the Bills ends, though, and I think Dwayne is able to get the victory. I think it's going to be kind of like a 17-14 ish type of game. I think it's kind of where what we're looking at, maybe 20-14 type of game. But I think the Cowboys get their hardware going again. You know, it's been a couple of Maddens, I think, since he's had one, so he gets it going again.
I think this is going to be a fun end to the season. It's different matchups, and that's what I think I'm most excited about, is just being able to see different matchups maybe that we haven't seen in a lot of the seasons here in the last maybe 2 Madden cycles. And so that's going to set up for a fun championship run here. And listen, we've talked about D-Money a lot. We've seen sort of the powers shift in the AFC. We've seen some power shifts here in the AFC as well. But now with D-Money out of the picture, it feels like it's more open. And it's actually been more open than not. Like, he was dominant last Madden cycle, but outside of that, it's been pretty open for a couple of Madden cycles. And maybe it's just baby duty or whatever it may be, but it is open this Madden cycle here early on. I think we're going to have some really fun matchups. There's no mailbag questions for us to dive into. So let's just close it out with one final thought. Give me one closing thought as we put a bow on tonight's show and get ready for the playoffs, man. We're going to be in the playoffs here in the next 72 hours, probably less than that.
Yeah, it's been a great season. I know I've had a successful season. I know this Madden is kind of up and down with a lot of stuff, and it's kind of one of those things like where you just kind of sometimes get stuck with what you get stuck with. But I think overall it's been okay. I know for as the league itself, it's been great. Madden sometimes gives us a lemon, and we got to try to make the best lemonade we can with it. But I do, like you, feel excited to see some different teams kind of coming about to the playoffs and having some success that we haven't seen in a while. And I think for anything that's good for a league, because if you see the same teams or the same guys always there, in the end it kind of takes away momentum from the push of the season, and sometimes, and I've been the world's worst, sometimes you defeat yourself before you even get started. So that can play a role against you too. But overall, man, I've so enjoyed it. I've hated that I've missed more press pass lives. I think this season I did the entire Madden cycle last season and stuff, but I'm so thankful that my wife drove the whole way and let me talk the whole entire time. And she's been very gracious to listen to me ramble about a fake Madden, a fake football league. So,
well, we kept it under an hour and a half, so that's not too bad for us. And I blame your old colleagues in the college that have ripped you into their old buddy dynasty that's taken up all of your time now. But I would also say let's go back to this photo here of Mr. Maniac. Can we just look at these beautiful teeth on this handsome man? My goodness, I am jealous. I got to go. I just got back from the dentist today, but I feel like I got to go back. I need some chompers like this guy's got. It has been a good season for a lot of you, not for me. This season has been crash and burn for me. I am not enjoying this at all. I am trying my best to figure out how to pass in this game, and I just can't freaking figure it out. If you play me, you get tons of pressure, lots of sacks, totally disrupt my game. If you are me, you get no sacks, no pressure, and you just got to go freaking try to manhandle and steal the ball from people on defense to make any kind of game out of it. We're going to hit the full reset button and see what happens next season, and worst case, we go back to classic mode. I don't know what to do here. I'm struggling, but I'm excited to call some playoff games, and it should be a ton of fun. And that's what we plan on doing. So make sure you stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, come check out some season 111 playoff action. It should be a ton of fun. We still got the Deuce rocking and rolling, so you can catch all the Deuce action here. We got OMFL college action. We've got off the grid action. We've got PUBG. I got to loop Mr. Pooty to come do a Grown Folks Live with me. We haven't done one in quite some time. And it's really all me. My life has just been way out of balance and out of control, but it should start to settle here really, really soon in the next week or two. I'm hoping that it's already start to get a little normal, but I'm hoping it's really, really normal in the next 3 weeks. And hopefully I'll have more time to do this. Mr. Maniac, I appreciate you even on a drive home making time for me. Thank the wife for allowing you to be able to do this. It's been a ton of fun. Good luck to your team in the playoffs. Good luck to all the rest of the teams. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Make sure you hit the like button. Helps us out a ton if you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you come hit the subscribe button and check us out. If you're an adult looking for gaming buddies to come game with, make sure you come check out the Grown Folks Online community. Details and Discord down in the description. Lots of Ds there. You'll find a couple of those Ds actually still play here. And so come hang out with them, make some new friends. Guys, I love you. You matter to me. I appreciate you. Make sure that you love on those around you, but also make sure you take care of yourself. We'll see you again on the next one. Peace.
Deuces.
Smash that like and subscribe.